have a panel discussion, and the discussion name is the challenges of regulating crypto in India, the hot topic actually. So please welcome Mr. Manu Naik again on the stage, marketing head of Octaloop, our moderator of this panel. Another big round of applause, please.
Mr. Prasanna, Lohar, CEO of Blockstack, due to the previous group session. We have Mr. Sudeep Choudhary, head of Growth India Blockchain for National Payments Corporation of India. Mr. Leander, Dsouza, founder and partner at Crowdfundjunction, and Mr. Vishesh Agrawal, Kishore, founder and CEO of Crowdfundjunction and MadforNFTs, and Mr. Vishesh Agrawal, partner at Leander. The topic for today's panel that we decided was what's the Hodl and to play on the challenges of regulating crypto in India. So obviously, India has a massive population of 1.5, 1.6 million people, and the Indian government seems to have an understanding of the value in blockchain. And we also have the largest developer workforce in the world, let's say. So what's the hold up? If we could just go one by one on your thoughts on that. If we could start with
as you just stated out, right, it's 1.4 billion people, and it's not the same kind of people. This is very different. People are in different landscapes right now, geographically as well as socioeconomically. So when we come up with a policy at a country, you actually have to consider the majority. And the majority is definitely not getting the right information. So that's the fundamental of it. And when it comes to policy, it's something that we've been talking about before also. Policies should not be on assumptions. Policies have to be predominantly on proven systems, proven paradigms. And as of now, we haven't arrived infrastructure in the place that have proven the paradigm that this can sustain. And there are genuine challenges in front. And I'm not even talking about money laundering, which is essentially a symptom of the more fundamental challenge of an economy getting fragmented because of advent of cryptos. Not because of that somebody's intending for fragmented, but essentially it will end up making economy which is divided into haves and have-nots. And we basically need to come up with a strategy that's not the case when Web3 is adopted across the country. And for that, there are infrastructure gaps. And fundamentally, that's what I think is the reason that the hold up is happening.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Hi folks, morning. Kishore, I'm here from Singapore. I represent a company, Crowdfundjunction. We are a community VC. I'll speak from a Singapore standpoint. And how is Singapore different from, let's say, India, China? And Singapore being a very global hub for finance, the adoption of cryptos and NFTs has been very quick, primarily because the currency is fully convertible, right? And so is the case with US, right, and UK and so on. But countries like China, India, they have a problem of flight of capital, flight of money. They have issues with convertibility. I think that's why they are kind of, the first part would be CBDCs, which is what was spoken earlier. Once that's kind of addressed, then I feel India will not hold back. It will go full swing, and once that happens, it will be the #1 economy as far as blockchain, crypto, NFTs, DeFi, DAOs are concerned. And as it is, I was here in recently in Goa. There was a Web3 summit, and I was so much taken aback that folks between the age of 25 to 30 were actually setting up DAOs, setting up their own Web3 business. And that's why I'm here back again. And I think India is definitely under the radar. It's underrated, but I feel that if you go and search, do a Google Trend search, whether it's NFT, whether it's crypto, whether it's DeFi, whether it's DAO, it's top 3 in the world. And so really kudos to all of you.
It's very insightful. Mr. Prasanna.
I think it's a very good opportunity to bring on a better experience for every individual out there in the world, right? So that's what we can really look at how digital assets can really play a major role. While banking ecosystem worldwide had tried, and they are doing better jobs also. But looking at the kind of ecosystem which we have built, or which we have seen last 20, 30 years, or since last 7-8 years, since rise of Ethereum and many more other layer 1, layer 2 solutions. We talk a lot about coins, ICOs, SEOs, utility tokens, and many more things. But when you look at a bank, right? Banks, and when you look at a customer, then it could be a retail customer or business customer who is availing any services for banks. Today in India, Switzerland, US, and anywhere you go, it has a process, and this process is defined on a paper in the bank. And the whole journey of onboarding a customer, servicing a customer, engaging that customer, I'm talking both retail as well as a business customer. This process is written by regulators. What does it mean? This process will never fail. If a bank, one bank will go down, there is another bank will really pull out that other bank. Because it's a whole ecosystem. Today, let's talk about one action goes down, which is another action will come and say, yeah, let me take care of another action. Because it is not there. So today it's a so beautiful time. We should learn how the banking ecosystem has evolved since last several years. There are gaps for sure, but it's a time to really fill those gaps with this kind of ecosystem, with the right regulation. Now let's look at who is really doing what. SECs, FINMAs, OECDs, everybody is come up with an IMF, everybody is coming up with a lot of guidelines. And if you really bring on those guidelines, so certainly we will see at least 100+ use cases which will really touch day-to-day life of corporate customers, retail customers through any of those decentralized finance use cases backed by any of those tokens or cryptocurrencies, so on. Example, PayCircle. PayCircle is something which we have built in US, followed by we have a very good alignment with the regulator in US, because we understand how bank works, we understand how compliance works, we understand how security works, we understand how to take care of the data of a customer. Now let's look at the same guideline. If every company will follow, they will certainly have a similar kind of a license the way we have in Switzerland. There are only 8 entities in the world. We have this license today, we are among those. Why? Because we understand how banking works, and we are taking all those learnings to this ecosystem. So I think if you look at a larger ecosystem, and even our finance minister and many more well-known leaders have said, we need a large level collaboration for this ecosystem to pull out. This is unstoppable, but if you really want the right fruits, rather than some fruits, one country is adopting or another country is adopting, if you really want to bring on the right set of use cases for every country, the way we see IDAs or fiat currencies are being welcomed everywhere, I think this is a very, very beautiful time. People, audience have to come and collaborate and bring on the right set cases of forces. I think it's very easy. We need to see 1 or 2 oranges coming up and really take hold of every other stuff. And I think in India, many more has announced. Some forums are there, India Blockchain Forum is there. I think these forums at India level, world level have to collaborate. Today at India Blockchain Forum, we are collaborating with at least 8 different countries. How do we have a better collaboration, right? So likewise, I'm not saying that's the only forum, but these forums has to come together. It's not a technology, it's not a problem. Technology really works. Technology was working in 80s, technology was working in 90s, 2000, technology worked in the next 20 years or so on metaverse and so on. But how do you take care of a customer centricity, privacy, data security while we are onboarding, servicing those same customers with the right use cases? If we solve that problem, it's a very, very good ecosystem, and not as one single country or 2 single countries will say these are having better economies, but many more countries will have a better economy with this kind of ecosystem. Because we will do away with a lot of those operational overhead which we have brought into the existing banking system. I do not really entertain those banking ecosystems which has a lot of manual efforts. Where I do entertain those digital assets or those ecosystems, but they have to amalgam with the right regulations, policies, and so on. And then it's about not only India, outside India. Now, why India is saying no? Because it's a straightforward, simple answer to do right use cases, right? And that is how, by the time we say no, they are working on CBDCs. SEBI is working on guidelines around digital assets, right? There are regulators in India who are welcoming Web3 ecosystems and also welcoming some kind of a token ecosystem. I think a lot of things are happening. It is just a matter of time. It's not in public, but a lot of things are happening at a Reserve Bank level. And the way we have seen RBI is a powerful regulator in the world,
they will come up with the right use cases for these tokenomics. It's a matter of a time.
100% agree. I think it's going to take some time, but we have the technology and the people. We just need to give it time for regulation. I also agree with what you said. I mean, I'm sure you'll see here mostly 25 to 35-year-olds, blockchain projects starting this ecosystem. I think it takes a little bit of energy to enter into such an emerging space. Mr. Vishesh, do you have any thoughts on this topic?
Good morning, friends. I'm Vishesh Agrawal, representing Blue Capital as the Bybase Crypto Fund. Let me come back to the main question that you asked. What is the hold-up for India? So, as a fund, when we approach people and people would like to invest in any of the product or any of the projects that we are investing in, the very first question is, do we reach out to the retailers or do we reach out to the corporates? Corporates in India, when they want to invest big. But the very first question is the fiat to crypto conversion. What is their first process? They will bring in a bag of cash to us. That's what they want. They want to convert their black to white. That is what the biggest hookup for India is. They still want the black money to be converted to white through the process of crypto, which is certainly something that the government doesn't want. So, as Sir rightly said, there needs to be a bigger authority or a bigger power that's going to control the entire system. Until and unless you have the KYCs for the decentralized products, something like a MetaMask, till the time you don't have KYCs done for those products, it really gets difficult for the government to allow things to happen on an open forum. I guess that is the first and the biggest hookup for hold up for any kind of a government to bring things into life.
I agree, but would you say that cash is also people want to convert their cash into legitimate money as well, and cash is far more untraceable than almost cryptocurrency.
That's what the untraceable money, they don't want to bring it back to the ecosystem. They want to keep it. They wanted to bring it onto the system but get it taxed. Bringing it back to the system and making it fly away from India is not what the government wants.
So definitely we're not going back to cash.
Absolutely not.
But yeah,
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone, this is Leander. I'm from Hodl, founded at Hodl. So yeah, rightly as you mentioned regarding the Hodl, whatever you guys mentioned about the regulations, ultimately the regulation should be in such a way that it doesn't stifle the growth of crypto. So that's one of the most important things. And see, when I started crypto, it was all about degenerate. It's completely very degenerate. Everybody was moving left and right. There was no clear-cut regulations. WazirX was the exchange where I started with, and you had like on-ramping back then, and we've kind of gone 1 year behind that. Because if you see right now, there's not really on-ramping that is happening. A lot of people are very, they are conflicted. Where do we need to go and buy crypto? Where do we sell our crypto? So that is what is happening right now. There's no clear-cut regulations in this aspect. Also, for a lot of investors, being in the investor space, we know, okay, if we sell it in other country, we can get it. Also, there are a lot of other stuff. But for a retailer, it's very difficult to buy crypto. You have to go through a P2P platform. So these are a few issues that a lot of us are facing as a retail investor. And regarding obviously the UPI, the cash thing that you mentioned, there is a lot more stuff happening. Like for example, Tornado Cash. When I was deep in the crypto, I came into crypto last year. And when I started, it was all like the decentralized way, getting into IDOs, ICOs, and from there on, I started to venture capital. And as you mentioned, who do we target? Should we target retail investors or corporate? The first thing that came to my mind was obviously corporates. Nobody's going to be investing at this point of time. It's going to be the retailers. So that was when we decided, what do these retailers want? They want a completely centralized platform where you can see the transactions. Everything is on code. And that is where Herd Ventures started. It was a syndicate, a decentralized syndicate. Not like a DAO-based token system, but it was, everybody could see how the money was moved and the SAF was signed, how the money used to be moved. So in that sense, I feel, regulation should be in such a way that it doesn't stifle all the current system that is already in place. Because there are a lot of retail investors globally who want to invest into early stage. And when if you look at ETH and all these big whatever tokens that you see today, it all started because of these retail investors who bought in. If you see the example like big venture capitals that got into FTX and so many other tokens, it's usually the tokenomics is very flawed. There's a higher supply that is kept for the team members, for the investors, the early investors, and very low circulating supply. And that's exactly what happened with the FTX thing. So ultimately, what the regulations need to be is something that doesn't stifle the growth of crypto. That's the only thing. Because see, there are a lot of factors that are there from let's say anybody, from an investor point of view, from a VC point of view. A lot of people do not understand what really happens there in regulation because they have to look at so many factors. So ultimately, it's going to be advantageous for us where they present, okay, this is what it does. Will this favor decentralization or not? So that is where we could play a role whether this regulation helps to the growth of decentralization.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you like a follow-up question to that, which is basically the next talking point, which is blockchain is definitely a challenging topic to understand. It's not very base level. It's pretty complex, and the space is constantly evolving. I don't know. I took a 3-month break. I came back and everything had changed. Like everything had moved on to another thing. So like, what can regulators do to keep pace with the industry? Because even people in the industry are finding it like if you just take a break for 3 months and things are changing. That's like, regulation doesn't work on that speed. What do you think regulators can do to keep pace with that?
Right. See, ultimately, what is happening? There are so many companies right now on blockchain analysis. They're analyzing data. There are so many stuff happening with what wallet transfer happens from this wallet, which wallet did it go to. And in fact, now even retailers, even groups, there are certain groups, they have that advantage right now. They are developing bots that can track top wallets. They track all the Twitter, those .eth names, and the moment they buy something or even if they deploy a token, it mirrors it and snipes it. So a lot of stuffs are happening in terms of what is happening on the blockchain level. There is so much data and there are so many companies coming in right now which is breaking down this data, seeing who is sending money to whom. So ultimately, like maybe in a few years, what's going to happen is, I don't think much is going to change with this part. We will find way to tag, okay, this wallet belongs to this person or this company had probably sent it to this. So ultimately, it's all going to be tracked. So even now, even with the exchanges, it has made it a lot easier. But also when you start transacting, like even with Solana, they had their debit card. Even Binance has their debit card. So all of it is getting very streamlined. Like if you look at it right now, even the exchanges are trying to bridge the gap between traditional finance and the decentralized space. This is where I feel regulators could find it a lot easier because there's already data out there. The only thing they would have to do is crunch that data and identify what is happening and try to figure it out. But obviously, see, even in US right now, Tornado Cash is, the front end is banned. But obviously, you can go through the blockchain, you can type the contract address and go through it and do all of that. But now they've also started blacklisting it. So there are a few of these apps which plays like a major role in this money laundering and all these stuff. And it wasn't really an advantage. Like if you look at Tornado Cash and all these things, which can ultimately mix your money. For people who do not know what Tornado Cash is, basically it mixes your money. Let's say you send one ETH, or let's say you send $100. When it comes out, it doesn't show from which wallet it came from. It just mixes with all the other wallets. So this is what Tornado Cash used to do. And these are a few things which will be. Government is trying to figure out, how we can close these things and, remove the front end, add VPN blockers and all those sorts of things.
I think that,
I think if you look at some of the global regulators, Switzerland, Singapore, UAE, Hong Kong, I think they have done a very good job as far as the country acceptance or adoption. Every of these regulators, they come up with a national or a strategy paper, right? And first thing they have anticipated or added to that asset categories. Which are those assets or which are the digital assets and what will be the value for India, so that cover they have done. Similarly, in Indian context, even if you, say example, tomorrow we come up with some guidelines or how regulators should look at it, they should look at which are those virtual or digital assets and what are the different categories should be there. Apart from that, the way we have seen Telangana government or IFSCA or even RBI, they look at the larger view of onboarding or launching a Web3 sandbox or a regulatory sandbox, typically. Where first thing they come up with which are those use cases for which they will do it, right? Example, in RBI, they have done cross-border payment, SME, payments, digital lending, 6 codes they have done. IFSC, they have done 4 codes. So if you say regulators are not doing, they are doing far more better job considering right use cases. Second thing, they look at the policy adequacy in various guidelines to onboard these use cases, right? Tomorrow you come up with some use cases of tokenomics, those use cases are also welcome there. Look at, and those regulators come up with the handholding to this ecosystem startups, how they really align regulation compliance into their ecosystem. So they are doing far more better job. What more they have to do? They should launch accelerator program, like MPC have done one accelerator program with the 3 of these use cases. Or they should launch or onboard many more mentors or influencers from all the areas, DeFi, cryptos, NFTs, just to understand what's really happening and what is the best outcome that we can come up with the whole ecosystem. Another area which we have seen training programs, awareness. What is it? You said what is meant by blockchains? It was a definition quite blockchain is Bitcoin, right? Or Bitcoin is blockchain. But now I think things have evolved. But furthermore, a lot of things are happening. Within Hyperledger, you see Cactus is coming with interoperability. Within there other Ethereum has come up with Ethereum too. There are a lot of things that are happening. We need to see which is the right research we need to do. I think there are some companies which is not in public as of now. They are creating their own fabrics in India, right? Just look at Ideality was looking at how they can create a blockchain blueprint for banking use cases only, right? So I think regulators should look at all of these aspects and also keep on researching, keep on educating all the corporates. Indian ecosystem, we have a EPIC, which is a India banking blockchain infrastructure company, and they collaborate with a lot of banks along with the RBI Innovation Hub. They have cohesively, successfully done some of the pilots for trade finance. Ideality is talking with the media. I think a lot of things are on the regulatory side, but I think we need a separate wing at a national level under the maybe around Web3, which is being lacking. If it comes, I think things will be far more better and far more in a better direction. Then we have a cybersecurity expert or officer, we have a defense officer, we have a fintech officer, fintech units also. I think although IFS is inclined to do that, but for other regulators to come like IRDA, SEBI, RBI and many more others, we need a separate week at a central level which will cohesively talk only around Web3 and the various other things. I think that will give a lot of momentum.
No, I would just like to add what Dsouza said over here, because very rightly pointed out there has to be accelerator programs. So any government policy to be very successful, if you've seen in the past, they have been successful only when they have a 5-year program. No policies goes up just overnight. So there has to be an education program for the people that blockchain and cryptocurrency is not an easy money, it's a smart money. So for kids of the age 25 to 30 years, they're just jumping into the business, thinking it to be an easy money. They need to understand it's not easy money, it's a hard money, but it's a smart money which can earn them good in the future. For that, if they have a 5-year program which starts from the basic education of the kids at the primary level, they can be in the curriculums can be added for the blockchain, and children can you've got coding now, kids doing coding from the age of 5 to 6. Why not having blockchain starting at the grade of 8 or 10, the education board starts putting up that blockchain as part of their curriculum. That's what the next 5 years is, when they grow at the age of getting into business, they actually understand the technology behind and then they get into the business. And that's when they understand that we're not doing it, people who are just coming in and scamming. This is not what their mentality would be. Their mentality would be to take it as a full-time business and take it ahead. That's when things are going to be much smoother and easier, I guess.
No, yeah, I think so too. I think the all of get rich quick narrative that's being sort of pushed on crypto with the recent FTX and Lohar, all this stuff. I'm kind of glad. I know most of us here are kind of like beyond recognition, but like after what's happened with these companies, which I don't think any of us in this room could have predicted what happened with FTX, with BlockFi, with all of these kind of Solana. We just didn't see it, but the government has been very skeptical for the most part on this technology, and that makes me feel a little better about what the government's doing with blockchain. They're clearly doing something.
Actually, we talk about blockchain all along, but majority of it is centralized. Talk of FTX, Binance, OKEX, Qcoin, you name, right? And the last 1 month, if you look at the numbers, people have moved to Texas. right? The numbers of Uniswap, PancakeSwap has just gone through the roof. So I think it's not about tech, because fintech is very centralized. And as long as you continue to stay in fintech, these scams will happen. Question is, does the government want transparency? Do we want transparency? If we want to still depend on centralized companies to hold our coins, then this will happen. But if we say, look man, we don't want centralization anymore because that's not the solution, we want decentralization, then let's look at a simple use case of real estate. Today, if I am buying property from you and you're selling to me, we go to a body that registers that document. How do I know that tomorrow the document that has been transferred to your name, you go to that body and the body says, sorry, in our database, your name is no longer there. So if it's on blockchain, it's immutable. There's no way you can reverse that transaction. But why is this not happening? Because there are so many intermediaries involved. Imagine you take away all of these guys, the jobless rate is going to go through the roof. Right? And this was a problem that first Singapore tackled. They said, if you want to go into blockchain, into decentralization, the jobless rate or the job rate cannot fall. Technology cannot be the cost of the death of the economy, right? It has to only make the economy, enhance the economy's growth, right? So I guess this is the serious issues that government is trying to handle. This is what my understanding is.
I totally agree with that. See, from a regulatory perspective, a lot. Okay, I will first try to answer this question on the technologies. That's what I have to answer first. So, I understand this that blockchain essentially is a very hard problem, which is in the world of scientists still not used. Right? It's a very bad idea to validate everything. Basically, if you can say that. Right? But then we can optimize it, right? And the way we do it is that we put functions on top of it, we put bounds on top of it, and that's how we achieve certain value from this technology, right? So when we, from a regulator's perspective, it is for a particular regulator to understand that what is the value that it is seeking from the system. Again, one point that I would like to point out is regulation is predominantly categorized as some central police wala sitting somewhere and saying 80% or 20%. But that's not the reality. Right? The regulation is essentially comprised of two basic building blocks. One is command and control, because there needs to be accountability. The second is a set of rules that have to be implemented. The set of rules that have to be implemented can easily be decentralized, and I have not come across a single regulator so far, particularly this year, who thinks that it's not a good idea to decentralize regulations. To be implemented as decentralized, to be taken as close to the point of transaction. And that's the fundamental of how regulators are looking at this problem statement. Now, command and control would stay centralized because the accountability stays there. One thing that we need to understand, particularly in democratic countries like India, we already have a decentralization. It pre-existed Web3, right? That is basically called the common structure. Our executive body is separate from our judiciary is separate, our agencies are separate, and they have command structures, but they are given power to given others. This is a way of decentralizing power so that we achieve certain efficiencies in those systems. And just because we have come up with this that we have come up new, it doesn't mean that whole thing is no longer useful. And it's very useful, right? So in that particular paradigm, command and control is what people have problems with. I'm sorry if that's going to be there for us some time at least. Till the time we can prove by technology that it is redundant in nature, right? So, and that will take some time, and then it will be out on decades of time, right? So, but that will come to decentralizing the rules and regulation, taking it as close to the point of transaction, is absolutely agreed upon by every regulator that I've seen. And I'm very, like, I see it, like, this is a topic problem. I really love the way they are going about creating an innovation road sandbox, and then on top of that, a regulatory sandbox. increasing the exposure as somebody qualifies to various level of regulatory frameworks. It's a beautiful construct which they have created, and something that we should all adopt across the board. We are basically all governments are actually looking at that particular structure, which would mean that we look at innovative technology, we look at how it impacts the market, we watch the risks that is associated with it, what all things can go wrong, and then we start exposing larger group. Because we do not want people who do not have people who have less money or who are at a lower SSC right now have less to lose and hence have a higher propensity to go to riskier ventures, right? And that's the unfortunate truth of economy. That's the unfortunate truth of society. So the people whom you think will not get affected or will not know are the first one to get affected because they will catch on to it as an easy money construct, right? And that's the fundamental. And regulators need to be very cognizant of that. So that's the fundamental.
Absolutely. I think we're running a little short on time, so I just want to ask my last question, like a rapid fire thing. Just give me your thoughts super quick. A lot of people think that the 30% tax that's being levied on crypto investments right now is kind of a regulator's way to soft land crypto. Like it's basically discouraging. Are you going to make that tax more than that tax in profits? Is it worth investing in? People are going to think twice about it. Do you think that's the intention from the government side with the tax? Just like
it is that's a complete myth that you have that there is a higher tax slab. A decent earning person today is by default falling into the 30% tax slab. If his earnings are more than 10 lakh rupees per annum, as per his idea, he's any which way is filing 30% tax. So any earnings over and above that on the crypto earnings are any which way is going to be charged 30%. So it's no way a higher tax. It is just that a myth that probably we as educators or as pioneers in the industry, we should make people understand there is no higher tax to you. It is just the standard tax. The only difference over here the government has done or probably put in grey areas is about what deductions you can take. They have clearly mentioned that your investments are not to be taken in as a deduction in your. So if you're mining, your mining machine is not considered as a deduction. Whatever you earn out of mining in crypto is going to be 30% tax. So that's the only small grey areas which again the machines, there is a provision in which you can take that as an expense. So practically speaking, there is absolutely no extra tax. So if we as pioneers start framing a question that says that it's a higher tax, that's what goes into the mind of people, that's what starts thinking. If we start telling that you're not paying any kind of extra tax, it's just standard. So I guess that would avoid people getting into the wrong loops of entering into crypto and keep them into the standard loop of buying from their own accounts and keep it safe. So I guess it's just good enough for people to continue the way they are.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, guys, when do you pay tax? When you make money, right? If you're not making money, there's no need to complain. This whole year, no one has made money, right? So, why is so much of complaint happening? People think Singapore has no tax, but that's wrong. There's no capital gain tax, but if you're buying and selling crypto as a full-time, let's say, as your job or as your business, then there's a tax, right? And no one is going to complain if you buy Bitcoin at 10 grand, 20 grand, and goes to 60 grand, and you're sitting on a nice $30,000, $40,000 profit, and you're just paying like some percentage to the government. I don't think you should complain because you're paying out of profits, not paying out of your own pocket, right? So I think taxation should be not viewed as a reason for you to not get in. It is a reason for you to get in because government is taxing something because that has potential to make money. Think of it like this.
Yes. So it is very much small. It is a small hookup in which the Indian government has put up on this is the exchange of hands. Unfortunately, they put on 1% TDS as the exchange of hands. That is where people are a little bit afraid of. And the second point is it's a March ending, irrespective of what the price is. When you are declaring your assets over there in crypto, you need to pay tax. If you are holding a stock, a share, you're not selling it, you're not bound to pay taxes. Whereas in crypto, if you're holding a stock, a share or a crypto, you need to pay tax on that day's value. That's the only hookup or a difference that the governments have made, and that's the reason why people are a little more skeptical.
So, running a little short of time, but if you could just quickly.
So, mean, there's a soft signaling here that 30% is you should be in that place to actually start using crypto because the volatility in the market. So that's one soft signal maybe from the government. The second thing is that, and this is basically something that I'm going to touch on in my talk as well, is essentially volume. Currently it's all on declaration, right? So, and there is no real good mechanism to track that declaration if you go inside of there. So, if you happen to do that. So, this is also one fundamental piece. As we go forward, we want to be envisaged and we have a much better infrastructural framework to regulate the industry. Just like what I said, we can take the point of regulation closer to the point of transaction and in a programmatic way. We will see this come down, just like we see in the stock market, right? And I think that is what is people coming in to buy stock market I do 1%, and then I pay when I look at my income. Why this is in crypto markets? And I think that's because we do not have infrastructure to regulate crypto markets today, and that's something that a lot of organizations might work with. I just want to add a post on not on that, but for a retail customer who is doing investment today or finance on today, he is not certain whether tomorrow he will be able to take it out or he will convert it to INR. So I think that kind of a framework we need to have so that people, apart from that, they should have a quite comfort. Yeah, this is one more instrument to really invest. Another area, the companies or exchanges who would like to do banking or onboard as a bank, there is a lot of interest from banking sector. So there also we need a clear-cut guideline because even if you want to have a company, your company name is a blockchain or a crypto or something, you're not getting onboarded on a payment gateway, forget about tax, right? So I think those are also areas which needs to be taken care. I think that's how regulators are working on that. I think we should have a better clarity. Apart from tax, that is very more important clarity for customers who are doing day-to-day investment, as well as the companies who are or exchanges who are looking forward to have one more that buy for the bank. And it's also business. Now, one more area which we see that most of the millennials who are buying, sitting or doing trading on NFT or maybe tomorrow Metaverse, nothing is on fiat, everything is on crypto. So that's another mechanism the way I speak with the RBI. They also want to look at this angle so that we should not miss out that amount. The way we always calibrate transactions on RuPay or UPI, which is a huge adoption. We should not miss this adoption also. I think that's one way to look at how do we bring on your parallel ecosystem within NFTs or Metaverse. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah, I basically think with this 30% tax, the government might probably buy some more time right now because if 30%, my opinion is a bit dissenting from rest of the others. But I do feel it's not a good idea to have 30% tax. But even if you look at it like 10 lakhs more than that. If you look at it, it's like till 2.5 it is 5% income tax, and then it is 10%, and then it goes all the way to 15%. So 30% is a lot. It does prevent people, it discourages them from investing in crypto. First of all, like crypto is a very volatile asset. A lot of people do not want to. The only reason they put is because it's a quick money, they can make some money out of it. That's the reason why they go. And when the moment the picture of 30% tax comes into place, nobody even wants to try it. I know a lot of my colleagues and friends who said this 30% tax, I don't even want to risk it. When I started, I went all in because I knew like, okay, whatever profits, there's no tax, there's no crypto tax. It was good back then. Now, yeah, and for a lot of people, they do not want, because if I make from my $100 that you invest, you make $100 from that, 30% goes into tax. And for a lot of people, the reason why this discourages them is because crypto is risky. You have risked your own capital and you've gone into it trying to figure out whether this is going to be working out for you. And the moment you make profit, something which there is no clear-cut idea, which government purportedly says that it could be illegal. I don't think it's a good idea to pay 30% on something like that. So that is my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear from this talk today, we definitely have a clearer picture of like what the challenges in regulating crypto are, both from like a regulator's perspective and retail corporate and all that. But yeah, wonderful session, guys. It was so great to have you guys on stage talking to you. I had a wonderful time. I think I'll hand the mic over to Neha for the next session. So thank you guys so much. Catch you.
That was great.